This is going to be interesting. So we got one really good hate bear on the table, a whole bunch of enchantments that are tough to deal with, a lot of power stacked up on everyone's board. No board wipe this game, so...
Today on Commander Replay, we try to navigate mounting tensions with our opponents with this Patreon-submitted Aurelia deck, and there's not a single board wipe in sight. Next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.
Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Aurelia the Warleader. Today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Jared. And we've gone ahead and kept an opening hand that looks like this. Lots of fast mana, not necessarily a ton of follow-up, at least until we draw an equipment. There's a Signet, oh my god, all the ramp. You know what, I'm going to give our opponents just a fighting chance here and go for the tap land on one, instead of straight into the Soul Ring Signet. Even giving everyone an extra turn like that actually means that this might be like some kind of a game other than us just like killing someone on turn 4 or turn 5. And while our opponent's decks are very good, having the start that we would have right there just absurd. Just absolutely, it's like winning the lottery. There's a Signet for opponent, into a mountain. Play the Rugged Prairie, Soul Ring, into Boros Signet, into Arcane Signet, and we'll pass like that. So ideally, we'll be able to find an equipment soon and then start drawing some stuff with Pure Steel Paladin. Just want to get a little bit of extra value going as soon as we can. If we don't have that equipment, I probably won't expose the Pure Steel Paladin, and I'll probably just go straight for Aurelia since we'll have the mana to cast Aurelia. Now, as I'm thinking about it, we probably could have cast the turn 2 Aurelia with this opener, which would have been really cool, and I think that breaks all my previous records. I think I cast a turn 3 Aurelia one time, but I don't tend to run so much fast mana in my Aurelia decks. Chrome Mox notably right here. There's also a Jewel Lotus in this deck. At points, Mana Crypt will be in and out of my paper version of Aurelia. I do run it on Magic Online since it's kind of a standard thing. Jeweled Lotus is an interesting card. It probably does help the deck overall, but it's got that lottery aspect to it. Although it does help with recasts, and even helping with recasts on Aurelia can be a big deal. 8 mana, the recaster is quite often a lot. There's a Rest in Peace. That's a card. Nate will definitely use his graveyard later on. Let's play the Flooded Strand, crack the Flooded Strand, get a Plateau. I guess we just start bopping people with Aurelia. We'll swing at Kaalia first, since Kaalia does tend to have a lot of flyers, and it will actually be pretty tough to get in there later in the game. Nope, he's just going to path it right away. At least it's a path, and we're going to get a land back out of this, so, like, we can just do it again next turn. Is there an Emeria in this deck, by the way? No Emeria, and that's fine, that's okay. I've been thinking about cutting Emeria from my equipment version of Aurelia as well, just because the way the deck plays, it is very rare that it actually comes up now. Like, the game needs to go really long, and that's just not what Aurelia wants to do with the equipment version. Either you're going to kill people pretty quickly, or even if you get into like a turn 8, turn 9 kind of battle, it's still just like recast Aurelia, try to equip a sword, and try to take someone out. And unless you're really built to take advantage of Emeria, it can be pretty tough to actually get to it. Sword of the Animus will get you there in a hurry, but it's also kind of a matter of like, if you look at this deck list, a lot of 3-drops, not a ton of huge stuff to get back. Like Sun Titan is clearly the best thing to get back, and everything else after that is kind of just like, it doesn't change the state of the board that much when they get back. It's not like the Angel deck where getting back one big Angel can completely change like where you sit threat-wise at the table. Like Gisella's insane, Avacyn's insane, even something like a Chancellor of the Annex, Angelic Arbiter, many others that where just getting that one creature back has a ton of impact. The equipment version of Aurelia, because everything's like 2 and 3 mana now, just doesn't do that quite the same. Here comes Kaalia. Yep. He's back to our turn. I was hoping for not a land right there. Play the Plains. Recast Aurelia. She's back in. Let's do some attacking. We'll poke Nate for 1 since he's open. He takes a hit for 3. We'll hit Zach Ryan 1 time. I do find that getting 3 commander damage on each opponent early can be a big deal. It can be tricky to do 21 with Aurelia all at once. It takes a lot of cards in play for that to happen. More often than not, you know, through the mid game, you'll find that like Aurelia will probably have maybe 1 equipment on her, so you're doing like, just you're doing 5 damage a pop and maybe 10 overall, and just the way the math tends to work out, it seems like quite often you get to like either 16 commander damage or 18 commander damage, so that 3 early on can make a difference about keeping your opponents in reach or needing like or needing an entire extra turn or combat to try to get that final hit on opponents. So even the early chip commander damage does matter quite a bit with this deck. Opponent gets themselves a Smothering Tithe. Smothering Tithe definitely destroyed a paper game I played earlier today. 2 of them on the battlefield. Pretty terrible. No one had enchantment removal. I had 2 wheels in hand. 2 dead cards. Dax Duplicant, well, this is probably going to be an Aurelia. Opponent gets themselves an Aurelia, and theirs has Dethrone, which means it'll probably be bigger than ours in just a second right here. Malcolm going on the attack. Gonna swing into Nate. Aurelia into us. Yep, sending back the favor. It'll dethrone. Not ideal. No blocks. We take a hit. Opponent gets treasure. Ooh, I forgot there's a Kediss in play. So whenever Malcolm hits anything, we're all going to take a little bit from that as well. Aurelia back into us and doing the same attacks again. Yep, same attacks again. We are no longer the threat at the table. Gonna chew through life totals real quick. This is probably gonna be a fast game. 3 aggro decks. I don't know if Breaches is naturally an aggro deck, but based on the start they're having here with our copied Aurelia, it becomes an aggro game very quickly. So, now Nate's playing his Anafenza the Foremost deck today, and this is a very interactive deck. Abzan Misery is the archetype. Basically Abzan control with a lot of reanimation and value and stuff like that, which is why I haven't given up on this Rest in Peace, because he does use his graveyard a lot. So this will definitely be handy, and I can't tell you how much I can't stand losing to Eternal Witness, which is usually the card he plays that gets me. It's like, it's not the first board wipe or whatever he does, the first Living Death. It's when he plays Eternal Witness and gets it back later that makes it truly awful. And then I lose the game in short order afterwards. So if we can stick a Rest in Peace, that probably won't happen. Anyway, opponent goes on the attack with Kaalia. And let's see what they're getting. Biggest creature in their hand, go. It's a Demon Lord Belzenlock. Interesting. Exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card, then put it in your hand. If that card's mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process, 1 damage to you for each card this way. They reveal a Righteous Valkyrie, so only getting the 1. Cool card, one that I've been thinking about using. Definitely needs to make its way into my Angel Tribal deck, but potentially even with an Equipment Aurelia, if you wanted to focus on life gain a little bit, could be very good, and as a 3-mana flyer, it's just solid. Here comes the Righteous Valkyrie. Yep. We are looking for our first equipment off the top. That's what we need right here. Should set off a nice chain of events if we can find one. It's a land. Not helpful. I think we're paying this turn. Yeah, let's pay. That being the case. Play this Windswept Teeth. Crack this Windswept Teeth. Try to pull lands out of our deck. Now's a great time to get this Alpine Meadow, a card that I completely forgotten about. I had sort of forgotten about some of the lands that came out in Kaldheim, just because there was a lot of stuff going on, but this is a nice little one. We can get it in tapped. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal right now. We'll play the Rest in Peace, so we don't have much else going on. Like I said, I don't want to expose this Pure Steel Paladin to a board wipe. As soon as we can find an equipment, we should be able to draw an extra card. If we get a second equipment, 2 extra cards, and that's all really good. So anyway, the Rest in Peace comes in, exiles the graveyards. Well, Nate's pretty low on life. We'll send one over to Sean. Like, Nate pretty much has to play the board wipe if he has it. Down to 33, 3 commander. And one more over to Nate. It'll be 19 and 6 commander, and we'll pass like that. Ooh, he leads on a Setessan Champion. Tells me he probably does not have the answer. Font of Fertility. Draws a card. Things have developed rather quickly. This is turn 5. Pretty serious board state for turn 5, although sort of the way Commander plays out now. A few years back, it seems like people were just starting to kind of get going on turn 5, and now, things are happening. 2 Aurelias on board means life totals can melt. Also Kaalia. Kaalia also means life totals can melt. Ooh, don't Sakashima and Aurelia. That would be terrible. Now's a great time to check on the removal in this deck. Route, Austere Command, Blasphemous Act, Heliod's Intervention. Heliod's probably not the most relevant in this exact second. Chaos Warp, Generous Gift. It's going to be a little dicey. Oh Lord. Opponent copies a Soul Ring and a Demon Lord Belzenlock. You know what? At least it wasn't Sakashima Aurelia. Can be happy about that. Multiple Aurelias will probably just end the game, more or less. Sean probably has a turn to survive, but we probably die and Nate probably dies. At least there's 1 turn to try to draw some removal here. 4-5 Aurelia over to Kaalia, Malcolm over to Nate. Opponent hits, Malcolm triggers. I didn't see the Kediss trigger. Not sure what happened there. Ooh, Aurelia back into Kaalia, so we're not getting melted right here. Love it. Is Kediss not working right? This is a... Oh, Malcolm's not a commander, that's why. Because usually you see Malcolm with breaches, so I kind of like confused that in my head for a second. So Kediss has not triggered in this game, but if they clone an Aurelia, it certainly will, and then we all die. Opponent just trying to make some treasures? Sure. So Nate's at 15, Zach's still at 36, Sean at 25, we're at 29. Life total's getting low, and threatening board state is kind of the big thing. But given the state of things now, we may get attacked here, but Sean should have incentive to try to do something over here. Nate said none of his decks are high-powered anymore. Turn 5, and things are getting wild. Yeah. Sakashima in. Getting another Demon Lord Belzenlock. Wants to draw all the cards. Gets a Chaos Warp. They have a Jace's Archivist in hand also. Wouldn't be awful in the sense that we just need to look at some cards and try and find some removal. Fire and Ice would be very helpful. Would it? No, Fire and Ice doesn't kill that much right now. Kills a Kaalia, kills a Malcolm. It's fine. Let's see what Kaalia wants to do. Everything into Zach Ryan. Avacyn? Avacyn or Gisela, maybe. Sephara, that works. That works. Oop. An Angel enters the battlefield, so they gain some life. That's cool. Sephara is attacking, though, and they could block the Sephara and remove Indestructible from all these. So, like, it would be costly. It would be costly for them to do that, but they're going to throw one in front. Block the Kaalia. Looks like losing... Nope. Think they just realized it. Just realized it. If this were untapped, it would probably make a lot of sense, but... opponent tries it again. Still gonna get wrecked by Indestructible, though. So they lose one. I guess all in all, that's not that bad. So they save a lot of the damage, but they don't deal with the Sephara. Boros Charm. Helpful card. Inevitably, there will be a board wipe here somewhere. Yeah, I think we just pay again. You know what? I'm not gonna pay because Nate's gonna be the one that's most likely to have removal. So, play a Mountain. I guess we just keep attacking. Unfortunately, the removal he's going to play is going to be Deluge. Like, that's usually what he plays, but... Yeah, we'll send 2 into Sean. Can't get into Zach Ryan in this moment. I'll be honest, Chrome Mox is not my favorite outside of CEDH. If you're playing a game that's going to go longer than 5 or 6 turns, I think Signets. Any Signet, I think, is going to be better than Chrome Mox. The card advantage hurts so much. Now, if you're in a deck with, like, Rhystic Study, or something that's going to draw like crazy... Sure, it's probably fine. Having played Boros for so many years where, we're just now starting to get decent card draw and the ability to refill quickly with consistency. Ooh, that's an Aura of Silence. It's pretty nasty. He probably shoots our Rest in Peace. I think that kind of matters for him. He does get himself a flying blocker, and that's definitely a good idea. But yeah, I'd much rather run a Signet in that spot. But, the way that I like to play where I can still sustain myself for the long game. I know that we got Aurelia out incredibly fast in this game, but we just have no follow-up because we haven't drawn an equipment to, and if we found an equipment up to this point, we'd probably be rolling. Aurelia would have had 6 triggers up to this point, probably, and we probably would have been able to get more equipment and draw more with the Pure Steel, so, just how it's going right now, but Sean's wide open for a hit right here. Belzenlock our way. Here's my gamble. You know what? Sean might play a board wipe. If Sean had a board wipe, he would play it. Although, you know what? He would have played it last turn too, though. So we'd be talking about a board wipe that he'd have to draw off the top. Which means I think it makes sense to go Indestructible on Aurelia right here and just block, try to keep her life total high. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe we just take the first one. I don't love it, but... Yeah, no blocks. Oh, there's a Kediss trigger. Malcolm trigger. Ooh. Kediss gonna get us all for 6. 23. Actually, we don't take the Kediss trigger. Everyone else takes the Kediss trigger. Aurelia into us. No blocks. Sean's got something. What's he got? Volcanic Offering? Comeuppance. Okay, love it. I think that deals with the Belzenlock. It resolves. Surprising with a lot of blue mana open. So that'll take down Malcolm and the Belzenlock. That's something. Aurelia's still in play. It's a 5/6. It's also coming our way, so it won't partake in the trigger. Down to 18. Protean Raider. Enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Sephara? Sephara. Ew. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. Jace's Archivist. I wish they would activate that. Although Nate's got a Smothering Tithe. Got to be careful with that. Red and White Sword means we could go Boros Charm first, double strike, put on a Warden piece, and just try to melt them. They have 3 cards in hand, so they would take 6, 12... no, they would take 12 damage off that. A lot of things would happen with a Warden piece off the top. What other equipment do we have? Sinew and Steel, Fire and Ice, Feast and Famine. Good ones. Champion's Helm. Not as helpful in this second. Although, gives us some kind of blocking. Everything into the... Is it opponent? Kaalia, what's he got? They can trade Sephiras if they want. Oh my god, that's a Gisela. We can double strike something and potentially take him out of the game. That's a thing that could happen. Like if they don't block one of the big ones. And actually, they do have to let one through because they only have 2 flying blockers. See how they want to play this. Oh, I think he's got responses. Double damage to us is not a great thing. Okay, they're going to Chaos Warp the Gisela. That's a good thing for us in the long run. Let's see what they hit. Angelic Arbiter, no big deal. Actually, that stops them from being able to cast stuff. Opponent wants to keep their Sephara alive. I don't think it's worth... Like, we could double strike this Aurelia to kill that Sephara. It means we're turning Boros Charm into... That would get rid of one Sephara. I don't know that it solves the problem. We could also double strike the Belzenlock to get rid of that Sephara. Eugh. Given that neither one really solves anything, I think we probably just hold it. Because, like, if a non-deluge board wipe happens, then we can at least save our Aurelia, and I think that's probably where we want to be. Yeah, that all mostly bounces off each other, and both opponents gain life off the lifelink. It's not ideal. We once again need a big draw off the top. Actually, Sean's still got mana up. Oh god, even if we find an equipment at this point, Arbiter makes it so we can't do anything. You know one card I've been starting to put back in, I've been kind of testing with a little bit? Luxodon Warhammer. The lifelink is just so helpful. And something we would love to have right here, just getting more size and being able to gain that life back. Pretty big. Pretty big. That's a Blackblade Reforged. That gives us... That does nice things for us. I'll let Nate have the mana. This is actually nice because if a deluge happens, or like, yeah, any sort of size-based board wipe, Blackblade Reforged probably gets us past it. So play Pure Steel Paladin, play Blackblade Reforged. Oh, it costs 2 extra. Woof. Draw a card, Smothering Tithe. Boots, free equip. Oh, boots are going to be 4. I'm going to try it. If we catch a land, then we can Boros Charm, but draw a card. There's a land. It worked. Play the mountain. Play... Equip the Swiftfoot Boots to Aurelia. We've got Boros Charm up, so we finally got some value. Enchanter, draw a card. We'll be drawing a lot of cards. Archetype, draw a card. First Strike goes away. More triggers. Does have flying blockers and lifelink. That's those are both relevant. They can't attack this turn, though. Angelic Arbiter might actually do kind of what we needed to do. Oop, there's the Pernicious Deed. It's going to be a second, though. They've only got 3 mana up for it. Exploration. All that might get him killed. Anything that takes heat off of us is really good right now. Demonic Tutor. Interesting. What does he go for right here? Notably, if opponent uses the Archivist, which they probably will because... Oh, that's a Serra Sanctum. Can Pernicious... For how much? Looks like X5, if I'm not missing anything. Idyllic Tutor. X5, not great against a bunch of 7-mana creatures. It's got 5 flying blockers. Ooh, Flickering Ward. Ooh, problem with the Archivist. If they activate Archivist, then Smothering Tithe triggers a million times. So Nate is probably the archenemy now. And he has enough Pegasus that it's going to take a little bit to get through that. Smothering Tithe, this is going to be interesting. So we got one really good Hate Bear on the table. A whole bunch of enchantments that are tough to deal with. A lot of power stacked up on everyone's board. And kind of a lot of bodies running around. No board wipe this game, so... Tricky boards. Ooh, they're just going for the Archivist. That being the case, I'm going to Boros Charm now, because I do suspect there will be a Pernicious Deed activation after they get a whole bunch of mana right here. We get a lot of the things that we've probably needed way sooner into the game. Aethersworn Canonist can slow down a lot of nonsense. Tibalt's Trickery is going to be super handy to have. 2 equipments finally, notably one that gains life, and opponents just drew a lot of cards. But there's also going to be a giant Smothering Tithe here. So we're not paying. We have no mana. He has a lot of extra mana. I think that's 22. See what Zach Ryan's got. Rift? Sakashima. Sakashima on Aurelia could be really interesting right here. Goes Sephara. I wouldn't have done that. Cause they could just Kediss Nate out of the game. Oh, right, they can't attack because they cast spells. Never mind. I see what's up. Problem now is we are super exposed to the Pernicious Deed. And the graveyards get exiled, so no way to get that Boros Charm back. Dockside Extortionist. Oh my god. He gets like 40 mana off the dockside. Oh lord. How does he want to handle the Pernicious Deed? That's a question. Ooh, he's indestructible. His flyers are indestructible. Phyrexian Arena, sure. Temple. Smothering Tithe, gross. Varagoth, weird. Ooh, still swinging into Zach Ryan. That's not what I would do. Change their mind. Gemstone Cavern. All of their flyers are indestructible. That's still a problem. We can play a land. Lands are free. Cost us nothing. The problem is, if we cast all these equipment right now, then he just blows... You know what? If we play Aethersworn Canonist, like, he probably just has to blow stuff up. Oh, it costs 2 extra. Not great. There's a Flawless Maneuver in the deck. There's a Teferi's Protection in the deck. I think we just... Like, we have to wait for the board to get blown up. We, can't do that much by ourselves. This is an interesting piece of tech, and one that I should definitely think about in my own list. What's he getting with the Enlightened Tutor? Ew. Actually, Doomwake Giant, probably okay. Because that gives minus? Yeah, I think we kind of want that. Ooh, they're going to shoot our Aethersworn Canonist at the end step. You know, some chance Aurelia could survive a Doomwake Giant. Do we Heliod's Intervention the Pernicious Deed right now? Yeah, maybe we wait. Smothering Tithe. Do feel good about having a Tybalt's Trickery in hand. There's a Doomwake Giant. Triggers Sean's Smothering Tithe. Yep, there's Doomwake Giant number 1. Opponent draws, makes tokens. Kediss down. Burgeoning, Doomwake Giant. Pure Steel Paladin, Dockside, Archivist go down. Also, many of the 2/2s on Nate's side go down. One problem we'll run into here is he will draw a lot of cards. But I guess he's at 9. Omen of the Hunt. He can attack. Unfortunately, the things that are drawing him cards are not enchantments, so we can't blow them up. Ooh, Athreos, huh? You know, I'm not entirely sure whether I want this Angelic Arbiter in play or not, because it is defending us against a lot of stuff. Oh, here's a problem. At the end step, he could activate the Pernicious Deed, and if he does it before the minus wears off and we lose the Blackblade, we would actually lose Aurelia. Wait, is this opponents only? Ooh, that's opponents only. That's a Leyline of the Void. Don't care that much about that. So his 2/2s are all going to survive. Ooh, that's an enchantment giant. You know what? I think I want the Angelic Arbiter to survive. Maybe. There's a Doomwake Giant. Our way through the Sepharas is the Sword of War and Peace. Shoot the Doomwake Giant, shoot Smothering Tithe, shoot Pernicious Deed, shoot Flickering Ward, shoot other Smothering Tithe. Need to pay a bunch of mana. See if we can convince opponent to blow up the board. Can return the Flickering Ward, that's fine. Anguish on making the Blackblade Forge, interesting. So that'll probably take her. Yep, that takes Aurelia down. It's going to Scry 2. Going to Gavany Township. It's not ideal. All right, Doomwake Giant goes down, so things are looking good for Angelic Arbiter to stick, which I think we need in this moment. Did not pop the Pernicious Deed, and now it's in exile. Thoughtbreaker Lamia, absolutely not. Counter that. Tybalt's Trickery goes into exile. What do they get? Gets a Wild Growth. That's fine. Tybalt's Trickery. The red counterspell. Love it. Stony Silence. Gross. Gonna be tough to equip our stuff, but this is the end of his mana, and he cannot attack. Land Burgeoning trigger. Opponent has a lot of Flying Pegasus. Good news is, if someone wipes the board, like, most of his stuff goes away. Like, most of the important things have already been dealt with and are in exile. Thoughtbreaker Lamia and Doomwake Giant tend to be kind of the finishers for that deck. I mean, also the Archon is very good too, so like getting any of that to go down would be huge. Opponent could, well, they cast a spell, so Arbiter's in play. They have a lot of flyers. Time Twister, love it. Doesn't exile our stuff either, that's important. Who's got a board wipe? We have a Swords, that's a start. We have an Enlightened Tutor, let's set a stop on our upkeep. 2 lands, lands are helpful. Our artifact mana is cut, we can't equip, which is a problem. Nothing in our graveyard, Sun Titan is a little underwhelming. Hammer of Nazan might be a reasonable pickup with the Enlightened Tutor, because that gets around the activation on Stony Silence. Sean's got a fresh 7. Maybe he'll have a board wipe. Sakashima, what do they get? Another Aurelia. Ooh, he does not run Comeuppance or Settle the Wreckage. There is Route, though. Although, lots of Indestructible in play, I don't know that Route does what we want it to do. It would clear out all this, but then we just die to Sepharas and Aurelias and stuff. Ooh, you wanna know what, though? Is if we untap, we can exile a Sephara, kind of break the wall of Indestructible. Blasphemous Act is a lovely start. There's gonna be, oh god, a million Athreos triggers. Ugh. Actually, no, they all go into exile. Ha! Nice. They do not die. Well, they're still at 15-17. That's a little scary. Ooh, Sean's board goes down because the damage is still marked, and then Sephara dies, and then they lose Indestructible. So if we can remove one Sephara here, then everything else will kind of go down. There's a Kaalia. That is new Kaalia. Opponent has a lot of mana. They can get so many things. Sean has 8 cards and almost 40 mana. Lots to be doing. What's he get? He gets Goldspan Dragon. More mana. That's actually, well, it doubles up his mana, but that's not really what he needs in this moment. Does he have nothing? That should be in his hand, right? Huh, he passed. Who saw that coming? I didn't. Are we playing Enlightened Tutor right here? How much mana do we have? That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 when we play a land. Probably no reason to Enlightened Tutor yet. There's been wheels and things this game. Let's see what we draw. Helm of the Host, you say? Aurelia's only 8. So, I don't think it's worth Command Beacon yet. Basically, all we need to do is stay alive. Ooh, Arbiter's gone. Yeah, all we have to do is cast Aurelia. Actually, there are 2 Aurelia. Oh, God, 2 Aurelias. How do we survive 2 Aurelias? You probably have to Swords 1. That's probably where you start. Ooh, we are jammed on mana. How much is this? Oh, it's on 10. That being the case, probably Command Beacon. I didn't realize it was up to 10 already. Play the Command Beacon, Burgeoning trigger. If we killed Nate, then Stony Silence goes away. We get back a bunch of mana. Oh, he couldn't use the treasures. He couldn't use the treasures. Oh my god, I just realized that. Wow. Okay, that's why he didn't do all the crazy stuff that I was expecting. Crack the Command Beacon. Aurelia comes into our hand. Cast Aurelia. Command Beacon is one I haven't used in a long time. I kind of got away from it because it's a little awkward. Also, just like, you got to pick and choose where you want your colorless lands, and I chose to go a different route. All right, there's Aurelia, but we need Zach to kill Nate. Because if we kill him, then he has like just 100 combat steps, and then we all die. Or, let's see. We kill Nate, then if we shoot an Aurelia, yeah, that's still just an absurd amount of damage. So yeah, I think we let him live, and we pass like that. Nate's turn. See what he's got. Ooh, you want to know what? If we Swords the champion, he's going to gain a whole bunch of life, and then, like, multiple things have to attack over there to kill him. Here's a Karamitra. Those are good. Draws a card. Daxos is a card. He can probably make a few of those. He has to cast an enchantment first, though. Seal of Cleansing is very interesting. Is he going to shoot our Rest in Peace? Actually, I mean, he's probably just trying to get the experience counter at this point. That's a lot of mana. Yep, he's going to start making Daxos spirits. Those have flying? I don't think they're supposed to have flying, but it says it has flying. Oh, one thing to keep in mind is that there's a Siren Storm Tamer in play that will likely eat any Swords of Plowshare stuff we try. He's going to attack Sean real big. He's going to block with a 3-3, sure. See what Zach Ryan's going to do. He can have a lot of combats. Land Burgeoning. It's a Rogue's Passage. Well, that might clean this up kind of quickly. That's unfortunate because I was counting on them having to chew through a lot over there. Oh, opponent did the thing. I told him not to do this. I sent him a message that when you have 2 Aurelias, it's going to mess up the untap. So on the 3rd combat, only creatures with Vigilance will be able to attack. This won't kill Sean. He goes down to 7. Back to combat. Still a lot of damage on board. 1 Sephara coming our way. Storm Tamer coming our way. It's indestructible, unfortunately. And Aurelia coming our way. We're going to need to block some damage here. All right, unblockable on the Aurelia. So, like, well, I guess it doesn't matter because he's the Storm Tamer. But we'll block this Aurelia. Need to save that damage. Nate and Sean both go down exactly 0. Just leaves us. Ooh, it's going to be close. We will attempt a Swords on the bigger one. Ooh, it resolves. Nice. Forgot about the Storm Tamer. We can't block anymore because we've run out of toughness. Down to 7. See what his follow-up is. Doesn't have too much mana. Hopefully he taps out. There's a Thran Dynamo. Okay. Little bit of blue mana left. Actually, we no longer need to get the hammer. That's really cool. Heuristic Study is a magic card. We'll Enlighten Tutor first. Actually, we can just pay. We have enough mana to do that. Enlighten Tutor. Heuristic Study. Pay for the Heuristic Study. Still 2 mana up. You know, if he has a Conqueror's Flail, I would go for that. Let's find out what we got. Ooh. Aggravated Assault gives us a backup in case one gets countered. That's a really good thing to think about. Maybe I'm on that. No Conqueror's Flail, sadly. Aggravated Assault? Draw the Aggravated Assault. Play a Gemstone Cavern. Try this Helm of the Host. Actually, boots on Aurelia first. Ooh. Feast and Famine Aggravated Assault doesn't just do it because of the indestructible Aurelia. Heuristic Study. Yeah, let's pay for that Heuristic Study. Equip Z Helm of the Host. He's saying GG. I think we did it. I think we did it. Danny Scoops right there. We did it. Oh my god, I can't believe that worked. Uh, we were not in control of that game. Like, we were not in a spot that I wanted to be. Oop, you had an Ugin and a Dire Fleet in hand. Yeah, no graveyards, shuts off the Dire Fleet, and Ugin, he was in a leading board state, so, you know, it's not really what you need right there. Oh my god, I can't believe that worked. I really had my doubts early in this game when we could not draw an equipment, and then I got worried that I didn't time things right against Nate with the Angelic Arbiter. After a while, I started seeing that, like, maybe we want the Angelic Arbiter in play because he's just going to kill the table if that goes down. So that took some really smart piloting on my part to wiggle out of that, mixed with a little bit of luck. Sometimes you just get a little bit lucky also. Definitely a big part of it. And you know, if you're like me and you've played a million games of Aurelia, you can kind of use the table politics when things aren't going your way. Someone else wants to be the threat, let them be the threat. And that's definitely what allowed us to do our thing right here. As far as cards we saw in the game, the Tybalt's Trickery came up huge. I forget what we countered, but it was the Thoughtbreaker Lamia. Yeah, that was definitely going to be a problem. That was great. Didn't catch much other removal in time. We used the Boros Charm, that was alright. Ether Sworn Canonist, one that I might have to think about. It's a nice thing late in the game to stop someone from going over the top of you, and good number of artifacts in this particular build of the deck, so you can still do a lot. Like if you're just playing equipments and equipping equipments after it's down, not too bad. Not too bad. More so than any other deck that I've played on the channel, this one is a really tough one for me to make recommendations for because I'm looking at this list and there's literally 100 cards floating through my brain right now, and we'll be here for the next hour if I talk about all of them. To the point where I've been thinking about doing an Aurelia discussion video. I think I need to do that. There's been so many good cards printed, so many changes. The format has changed, and there's just a lot of things to think about now. So that'll probably be coming in the future when I get a little bit of time. But as far as big things, you'll notice in this game, we could not find the board wipe that we really needed. So we've got 3 in the deck: Blasphemous Act, Austere Command, Rout. Honestly, I would probably look at one more, even if it's a Winds of Abandon or something like that, just to have a teeny bit more removal for these higher power games. Another thing you could look at is Transmogrifying Wand. It's not a perfect card because it's sorcery speed, but being able to shoot 3 commanders or 3 nasty whatevers, like if we could have shot those Sepharas earlier in the game, we would have saved ourselves a lot of headaches, those Aurelias, all that stuff. Things would have not been as scary as they were for like 11 straight turns. Does it blow you away with power? No, but it fills this role of repeatable removal. You could look at something like a Glorybringer if you wanted another creature. There's only 11 creatures in the deck, so that wouldn't be a terrible idea, honestly. Other things to look at, a card that I would strongly consider and one that I've been bringing back into a lot of my decks, because everything is so cheap mana-wise now in Aurelia decks, Prophetic Flamespeaker is actually a really good card to look at. A Double Strike Trample, when it deals damage to a player, exile the top card of your library, you may play it this turn, so that's good card draw early in a game, and that's kind of what we were missing, plus the built-in trample is really helpful late. So this is one that I've switched back to using and has been pretty good. Is it perfect? No, but it fills that role of having a lot of different ways to draw cards, and it's a creature, and it can easily do lethal damage late in the game with 1 or 2 equipments on it. So it basically does everything you want to be doing in this deck. Again, it works best when your mana curve is really low like this. You don't want to run this in Angel Tribal because of, you know, a deck full of 7, 8, and 9 drops. You've got Halvar in the deck. Definitely love that. Let me take a peek at my own list here. Godo is noticeably absent from this list if you're doing the Helm of the Host combo. I find that I tend to execute that more with Godo, since by that point, Aurelia's usually died a couple times in the game. So that's something to think about. Or if it's not that, sometimes there's a certain equipment you need. Interestingly, no Sunforger in this deck. And I get it, Sunforger does eat up a lot of card slots, but it does give you access to your removal and your protection, so I'd probably try to make room for a Sunforger. I'm taking a peek at my list real quick just to see if there's anything that I really like that I have going on that I've been messing with. Bolt Bend is actually a really powerful card. It's basically Deflecting Swat number 2. If you have Deflecting Swat, you don't necessarily need it, but this is protection and removal, essentially, so does a lot of nice things. Fervent Champion is crazy, although you do want a high equipment count. I didn't see tons and tons of equipment in the other list. Umezawa's Jite, that's probably the one that I would definitely add. Rayav is very solid. More Double Strike in the deck is always a good thing. And like I said, I've been testing Luxodon Warhammer. The Lifelink 3/0 Trample is a really big deal. Keeps you from dying to a lot of stuff, and that's a really good thing. So I'll switch back to Jared's list. You know, what I do find interesting with this deck is that There are 11 creatures in this deck, which tells me Aurelia is the plan. Like, with mine, I tend to start everything on small hate bears and small creatures first, and then Aurelia kind of comes down late. This version looks like it's really just all about getting Aurelia in as quickly as possible. That was the vibe I was getting from it, based on the super low creature count and all of that. So yeah, I think my big recommendations for this particular list, Prophetic Flame Speaker, Umezawa's. This card has a lot of variants associated with it, but it is repeatable removal, and it makes Aurelia big and lethal very quickly. Plus, the life gain is occasionally relevant. And I would probably look at one more removal slot, personally. Transmogrifying Wand, again, is one that I'm testing right now. You could just do a Winds of Abandon, if that's more your speed. Oh, of course, I mentioned Sunforger also. Notably, you don't have a lot of the free equips happening from what I can see. You have a Sigarda's Aid. Honestly, I would switch that over to a Fervent Champion. I just like Fervent Champion better. It's a creature, and like you can go turn 1 Fervent Champion into turn 2 Dousing Dagger, Mask of Memory, or Sword of the Animist, and it's insane. Or even into turn 3, like Feast and Famine, Fire and Ice, any of that stuff. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, one card you're not running also, you're not running Neheb. It's not a must, but it is a really good card. Also, it's just a card that I really like from like a flavor and a feel standpoint. It's honestly one of my favorite red cards. I just really enjoy it. And that's probably because it's not really like any other red card. Just a super sweet card. So that one's obviously very good. Also combos with Aggravated Assault if you're trying to do that whole thing. Gets you a ton of mana for your artifacts, and moving equipments around later is all super helpful. So just lots of nice things there. These are probably the main changes that I would look at. But again, there are a lot of choices that go into this deck. If I were cutting stuff, Sigarda's Aid is not my favorite. So I would put that one in the cut pile. Make a cut pile somewhere. Sigarda's Aid, I've kind of shifted away from. Chrome Mox, I've kind of shifted away from. I haven't counted the ramp. There does seem like there's a bit, though. If you don't need another ramp slot, then cut the Chrome Mox, bring in a removal slot or something like that. Armored Sky Hunter is prone to whiffing, so that might be one that I get rid of also. Like, it's fine. It's definitely not bad, but I've definitely whiffed with it a lot in the little bit that I've been playing it. Keep testing it out, see if you like it, but for me, it's underperformed a little bit. Everything else in the deck is very top-notch. None of the other cards in this deck are bad, so it really just comes down to making a choice of, I want this one particular thing over this other thing instead. I would say probably the weakest card in the deck is Sword of War and Peace, but even then, Sword of War and Peace is still a very good card. Protection from Blasphemous Axe and Swords of Plowshares, pretty huge. We saw a lot of white flying creatures in this game, so stuff like that. The life gain would have been very helpful to us at points, so, you know, if that's the worst card in your deck, you're probably doing something right. Thing to keep in mind is that War and Peace, you cannot target it with a Jeska, and I believe Arden is also targeted, as well as Halvar. So that could cause some headaches for you, and that may be a reason to get rid of it. And that's kind of also why I've switched to Luxodon Warhammer instead, because they both kind of do similar-ish things. The life gain gets a little bigger. Obviously, some differences there, but you know, you do think about War and Peace as a life gain card amongst some of the other things it does. So those would probably be my cuts personally. I think that still leaves us one or two over, I think, but you'll have to make a choice about what you want, and you will have to get rid of a good card to make that happen. So land-wise, I would definitely add a Rogue's Passage. Also, I might add some of the draw lands like Makokoro, Bonder's well, we got Bonder's Enclave. Oh, we've got War Room. Okay, so we have 2 card draw lands. Yeah, honestly, I think that's fine then. So yeah, those are the changes that I would make. I'm going to wrap it up here just so I don't spend an hour talking about changes we can make to this deck, because I will definitely do that. But I do plan to do that in another video in the future. So anyway, hope you guys like this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Hey guys, help support me and save 15% on singles by using the promo code REPLAY at mothershipaTX.com. Commander Replay t-shirts, available in orange and colors beside orange.